Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for clicking on the video. This is David Pendleton, and today I'm going to walk you through Vineyard Acres hole number 1, which is a par 4. This continues my walkthrough of all the Tour 8 courses. So as I talk right now, Vineyard Acres is currently located in Tour 8. It may change down the road. Who knows? If this is your first time checking out my channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. If you find this video helpful, if you think it's going to help you win more games, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. That just takes a half a second to do. And if you're looking for more Tour 8 content, just click the playlist section of my channel and you'll see everything neatly organized right there, along with my Tour 8 strategy video. So you're going to see me play this as I do almost every single hole and shot in Tour number 8 with the Navigator ball. I use that ball because a Power 1 ball, if you know what you're doing, is all that you need in almost all of Tour 8 to be successful. And that doesn't matter what wind angle you get. It doesn't matter how long the par 5 is. If you know how to attack each hole, you're able to accomplish that. Now, you play the game however you want to. Make sure it's fun. Use whatever balls you want. And we're going to talk through a strategy when it comes to this one. Now, when I see this hole, I get very excited because I play to win this one in regulation. You know, most games go to a shootout or whatever. But this one right here, I'm playing to win straight up. The drive is 20% elevation. Shot number 2 is minus 10%. That's if you're lower down on the fairway. It's a pretty uphill shot, which you'll see in my replays. Or you can play it with 0% as long as you get the right distance on the drive and you end up taking a shot with the wedge. So here's what you're going to find in this video. I'm going to show you quite a few replays of full games, so my shots and my opponents. The reason that I'm doing that is that I want to talk through the mistakes that they make, and I'll probably spend a little bit more time on this particular hole just because I do believe it is one that once you get the hang of it, you're going to end up winning it, like I said, without having to go to a shootout. Okay, so let's hop into the first replay. So here we have an opponent, okay, using a pay-for-play ball, meaning, you know, he has to pay real money to use this ball. And it is a wind resistance 5 power 2 ball, side spin 4. Now, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of players do is when you use a money ball, you don't use the right ball for the hole and for the win situation. This is a game of strategy. I see a lot of people buy ball packs and they go out here and they just use the same ball game after game after game. You know, it's like if I replay somebody and they use this ball, like they're going to use it the next game and typically the game after that as well. That's what most people do. But, you know, take a look at the wind that we're getting. We're getting tailwind. So on a very short par 4 like this, why would you ever want to use a wind resistance 5? If anything, you should be flipping these stats around. You should be using a power 5 ball, wind resistance 2. And that would make a lot more sense because then you're going to get a stronger tailwind. It's going to help you hit the ball further. And you're using a more powerful ball to accomplish your goal, which would be to get as close to the green as possible on this shot. But here we go. So we're going to walk through his shot here. Now, he only has an extra mile 6. This is actually the same club that I started Tour number 8 with, an extra mile 6. And you'll see here, he's going for full overpower. With that club, a full overpower shot, and only a 2.7 mile per hour wind, you're not going to make it over the rough, which is what you see happen to him here. So he hits the rough and he rolls out and he barely lands on the fairway. This is a more difficult shot to make for an eagle. So, you know, when something like this happens, of course, I'm already thinking I'm going to be able to win the game. I'm using the same Navigator that I do. I know that at 4.4 miles per hour, I would have to execute a really good shot in order to make it over that rough, if I even could. So I don't try for that, okay? I just pull my rings like normal. And this is a 20% elevation pull. And then from here, I'm using a little bit of overpower, not a whole lot. We don't take unnecessary risk and unnecessary gambles whenever we don't have to. You can see there I hit exactly where I wanted to, and then I catch this nice little part of the fairway here that pushes us up the top part of the fairway. So this is a pretty flat shot. You're going to see my shot number 2 is going to be played at 0% elevation. We can fast forward through his shot. He doesn't make it. So that brings us to us. And as we normally like to do when we get a nice flat surface with our wedge, we like to take a full topspin approach. And here you see I'm just checking the distance of my club. I end up just playing this at medium distance, and again, with absolutely no elevation. Perfect ball, always nice, but there's a little wiggle room for great on this hole typically. And we hit the pin and we drop in for the win, okay? So here we go. I'm up first this time. I'm always playing this one with full top spin and 1 bar of right side spin. Now, this is typically the landing spot you always see me looking at here too. I'm trying to make sure that my ball guideline is fully developed onto the fairway. I want to make sure it's not pointing too much into the rough or anything like that. And that's why you see me use curl. And you'll always see me put my yellow ring right around that little hump of the fairway there. So you'll notice that's very consistent in my gameplay here. This is a similar type of wind. Now, of course, anytime we're getting tailwind, the game becomes a little easier. But you have to keep in mind you don't want to go nuts with the overpower, especially if you're going to use my strategy and play with the navigator. And you're going to see here that we're going to be beating all types of balls with just a power of 1 ball. Regardless of our opponent's clubs or ball selection, we win. We roll it right up the fairway again here. And of course, it's going to put us at a flat shot wedge. So we'll take a look at our opponent. Our opponent has no shortage of clubs. This is an excellent club, a Thor's Hammer level 6, combined with a wind resistance 2 power 3 ball. So now this makes more sense for this type of hole. I would still never use a Titan in this situation, especially if you just saw your opponent pull out a navigator and make it all the way up the fairway there, and you have stronger clubs. That's where the technicalities and the skill of the game come to. Don't depend on using a high powerful ball to help you win a game, because that's not going to make you a better player. So now we both have a similar shot. I am further up on the fairway than him, though. Same type of situation here. We use that full topspin shot. I end up pulling this one at mid-distance with no elevation. Now you can see here I hit a great ball. That's why I said sometimes there's a little wiggle room on this one. Hit a great ball, and that still puts us in the hole for an eagle. So that's always really nice when that happens. Our opponent has to make it to draw. He's with the same type of shot, another full topspin shot. He's just guessing on his ring pull, though. You notice he didn't flip his camera around and take an accurate shot. He's just playing the game by feel. And I know a lot of people do that, but again, if you want to become a really good player, you're going to have to learn the ring system, and that's why he missed this shot right here. All right, so now we have a lot tougher wind, okay? We're talking about one of the nastiest winds that we can get on any hole in tour number 8. We're getting over 10 miles an hour, headwind, so pretty gross. Now, in order to still play this hole the way we want to play it, I want you to notice here where I put my target. So anytime you get headwind, and you need to make sure you bring your target down towards the screen on your drive. So that way when you go to pull your rings, you can still flip the camera around and pull your rings correctly. If you start off at max distance and then you go to pull your rings, you pull into overpower and you can't properly adjust. So here you see I pull my rings way back down to the target. I'm normally way higher up on there. I do my full top spin, my 1 bar right. Now I flip the camera around. And at 10 miles an hour, we need to pull this just a tad over 5 rings. And then I push back up to max. And that's going to allow me to get full distance of my club. Now you can see here, this is a more difficult shot. I am taking a full overpowered shot with a little bit of right curl. But again, the more you get into the habit of doing that, the better of a player you'll become, because you'll be used to taking overpowered shots, which is awesome practice for a tournament. So here we're uphill. So we're going to end up having to play this next shot at minus 10% elevation. So here we have an opponent using a big topper 6 and a Titan, a big topper 6, a really nice level club, for an epic. And here, like, this is just not something I would recommend, playing a big topper on this hole. I understand why he wants to, But at the end of the day, it wasn't pulled properly. And again, it was played by feel. You would really need to pull the correct rings here and use a lot more top spin than what our opponent did. But because he didn't adjust correctly, he's in the bunker. Now that's going to bring us onto this shot. So this shot, like I said, if you end up playing it with your thorn, if you saw my graphic at the very beginning of the video, we play this shot at minus 10% elevation, okay? That's going to be very important to note. Minus 10% if you take it with a thorn. But here I switch it to my Endbringer, and anytime I play this hole with my wedge, then I end up playing it 0%. So I made sure that I showed the thorn in this video, and you're going to see more thorn shots later. But you can see here with a couple very difficult winds and getting caught in between clubs, as long as you know your elevation, you're going to be pretty well off, once you go to take these shots for the drops. And I want you to keep in mind that as I'm making this video, I started this project just a couple weeks ago. So, and the likelihood of getting this hole and then being able to film it with perfect shots and opponent shots, you're seeing really at a high rate of how many opponents mess this hole up when it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so here we go again. This is more Headwind. As you see here, my same setup. I pull my rings. Overpower, but not full overpower this time because this is 3 miles per hour less Headwind. I still have plenty of room there to go more overpower, but the thing is, you don't want to hurt your chances of hitting a perfect shot, because is it really worth getting 10 or 15, 20 extra yards? Or is it better off giving yourself a more probable shot of hitting a perfect ball? Okay, so this time we have, what is this? This is a power 5 ball, wind resistance 3. And he swaps it out. So for a Quasar, and that's fine. With a rock combo. Again, this is just an unnecessary risk type of shot. First of all, I wouldn't use a rock in this situation. I would use a much more powerful club, because you do want to power the ball up as high as possible. And this opponent clips the rough, it rolls out onto the fairway. So if you're taking this shot right there, you see how uphill it was? You'd want to play that at minus 10% elevation. But now we're using our wedge again. So it's 0%. Check your own distance of your club. Hit a perfect ball. And we drop another one in, dead center for the eagle. So now it's our opponent's turn. He's taking a thorn shot. And just keep in mind, I'll say it again because it's hard to remember everything, but if this was you playing this shot, you need to make sure that you're playing this at a minus 10% elevation. This shot is definitely uphill, and the ball will be much less affected by the wind. Just a little too hot there. Didn't use the proper amount of backspin to make that shot work. All right, so now we go on to this one here. I think we catch the drift on the drive. Notice here I'm not using a lot of overpower. You don't have to go crazy with the overpower because you don't want to miss this fairway. You don't want to miss that patch right there. But what you do want to do is catch this spot where that ball just kicks up. And that's a really nice place to be. So now we have our opponent's turn. Here's another, looks like a Titan ball this time. Why we're not using full top spin out of our opponent, I'm not sure. But take a look at the overpower here. It's another shot where it's just too much overpower and you lose distance. And this time he rolls into the rough. So it's our turn. We have to capitalize on these because, we're pretty confident that from there opponent's going to miss. So all we need to do is make a shot to win the hole. And we sneak another one in the cup. All right, so 5.9 mile per hour wind here. Another perfect ball. We ride another one up the hill. And our opponent here using an APOC and a Quasar, it looks like. But notice here, not going full topspin. This I don't understand. We're seeing a lot of opponents do this. We're also seeing this opponent play by feel. He did not adjust his rings properly. He just moved it over. Full overpower, full curl. The likelihood of hitting this ball perfect is not good. And that right there is what we call an unnecessary risk. These are just things that I want you to not do, when you're on this hole for sure. I think we've seen this enough times. I think we know what's going to happen here. But we drop another one in for the win. Pretty easy as far as this hole goes. All right, so now I'll just show you some more difficult drives. Just a couple, and we're almost done with this video. Here we go with a 9.4 mile per hour wind, blowing headwind, and this time from right to left. So this is probably the most difficult wind flicker that we're going to get on this hole. Headwind and blowing the opposite way of where we want the ball to go. But you notice here, I left myself room to adjust the shot. We did hit this one perfect. And because of that wind, we're not going to catch that part to where it pushes us up the hill. So when we take a look at this camera angle, you can tell we are uphill shot, and we would take that at minus 10% elevation. All right, now, there are times if you have the right club, so like an extra mile 8 like I do, or a powerful club, when you catch tailwind like this, you can, if you want to, go for green. I know that at 7.7 miles an hour, that is enough wind strength. If I go full overpower, if I execute a perfect shot, then I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it up here to the top. So full overpower, almost a full ball of right curl. I even hit a great to the right. And you can see here, we got enough boom to make it up. And that's going to leave us with a very short wedge shot to get there in. Here's a better wind, right? 20%, 8 miles an hour is even better. So as you can see here, I'm taking a little bit off the top spin just in case. So if you're playing with like an extra mile 9, or a high-level Thor's hammer, you don't want to go nuts with the top spin in this situation because you could definitely shoot past the green. And I've done it with an extra mile 8, so I hit another great shot to the right. But no big deal. You see here plenty of fairway to work with. And I think we only used about 5 bars of topspin. And you can see we come in really nicely on the left-hand side of the green here for a very short wedge shot. Now here's a minus 10% elevated shot with a thorn. You just want to make sure you use the backspin to go to the hole. But I do recommend that you let your ball guideline go through the pin on this hole. Just like that. So you can see the end of my ball guideline is through the cup. I zoom in just to make sure. For me, I'm a very detailed player. I check little things like that. But you can see here we're on our second shot, and our opponent was on the fringe. So if we make this shot, we win the hole. Look at that. Perfect, dead center, into the cup, minus 10% elevation. And this is just a few more games. I really caught fire over the past week or so on this hole, but I normally do. This is just one that I've come to just love when it comes up because I've just got it down pat, and that's why I'm making this video, so you can get it down pat too. I hope this video helps improve your game. I hope you learned how to play this hole and how to attack it. I would just keep in mind that all my Tour 8 content can be found in the playlist section. And if you like my content, please, share it to your clan. And I put a lot of work into this to make everybody a better Golf Clash player. You can donate to my PayPal if you feel necessary to do that. And that's always in the comment section of all my videos. Thank you for watching and have a great night.